Here's a vein. Come on, stick it in there. Get it over with, come on.
Hello people, welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, please subscribe, that would help me out. In case you're wondering, my shirt says, "I'm silently correcting your grammar." One of my favorite shirts. So yesterday I got a lockdown haircut, meaning at home, because nothing around me is open. And usually I don't get it cut this short because I have a huge scar on my head. Let's see if we can see it. See it right here? It's a big dent in my head. So it just got me thinking about how I've actually cheated death six and a half times in my life. What do you mean by 6.5? I'll explain the last half at the end of the video. So the first time was the reason why I got this scar was when I was 5 years old or something like that. I was living in Los Angeles in an apartment complex, and there was a little incline leading to the street, and I was on a big wheel. It's like a little tricycle kind of thing. And so I went down the hill, and a car didn't see me and hit me. And according to the witnesses, I flew 15 feet and hit my head on the curb of the sidewalk. And I never felt anything, and I don't remember anything. I just remember waking up and my mom was holding me, screaming with a bloody rag over my head. And I had to have surgery, hence the scar. And yeah, I'd say for a year afterwards, I remember screaming because I was in so much pain. I had really bad headaches, and they couldn't figure out why. And that leads me to the second time I cheated death. It was about a year after that accident. I was in a car in the back seat, and back then they didn't really require seatbelts or any kind of child restraints. And so the brakes went out naturally. Well, so why wouldn't they? And we were going 40 miles an hour. We hit a tree, and I flew from the back seat and hit my head on the dashboard. And my mom actually says all this head trauma made me smarter, but I think she's just joking. Anyway, yeah, so I had to go to the hospital again for that. And when they were inside fixing me, they figured out what they did wrong the first time, and they fixed it, and I stopped having headaches after that. So it was a blessing in disguise. I don't know. The third time I cheated death was once again growing up in Los Angeles. My mom and I and my sister were driving at night, and I grew up in Southgate, right next to Watts and Compton and Linwood, and you've seen Boys in the Hood. I mean, it was the worst place to grow up for a kid. Oh man, it was really scary. But anyway, so we were driving at night in our huge station wagon, and our back window got shot out with a bullet, and it missed my head by feet. So if we were going a little slower or something, who knows what could have happened to me. So that was pretty scary. And my number 4 is probably my favorite story to tell. I was living in Alaska in Juneau, going to college. I was at the dorms, just sitting watching TV, and I was right next to a big bay window. And my roommate and his friend who was staying with us came home from target practicing, because that's what you do in Alaska. And they were drunk and stoned, and the friend, he had a .22 rifle, and he was going around pointing it at people's heads, and everyone would laugh because it was empty. And I remember he pointed at me last, and he moved an inch, went pop, and a piece of glass hit my face because there was a bullet in there. The gun went off, and if there was someone walking down there, they would have been shot. I mean, it was just chaos, and I didn't know what to do. I just missed getting killed by a matter of an inch or so. And everyone says, well, I would have kicked his butt if I were you, but he was a really good friend, and you just don't know what to do in those kind of situations. They said since it was just a .22, the bullet would have went into my head, rattled around, and stayed in there, and just ricocheted and turned my brain into mush. So, good times. Okay, the 5th time I almost died. I was living in Oregon, and I was driving from Portland to Coos Bay on I-5, and I was driving for a couple hours, going 90 miles an hour the whole time. And for some reason, I decided to get off the freeway, and because I wanted an ice cream. So I got the ice cream. I remember it was a Big Ed. It was 2 cookies with ice cream in the middle. It was really bad for you. But anyway, so I was getting back on the freeway. I was on the on-ramp. It was at night, and I was probably going 25 miles an hour, and my car spun around like 2.5 times. And I was like, what the heck? Did I hit ice or something? I didn't know. So I got out, and I discovered that one of my tires was missing. It had shot off into a field like 250 feet away from me. And the mechanic told me that it was because my bearings weren't greased well enough. And who thinks about stuff like that? And if that would have happened when I was going 90 miles an hour on the freeway, I mean, I'm sure I would have rolled over like 10 times, and the tire would have bounced into the other lane and killed someone going in the opposite direction. Who knows? But it's a good thing I wanted that ice cream. The 6th time I almost died, it was about 5 years ago or so. I got the flu really, really bad. And before then, I had never bothered with a flu shot because I never had it before. And I was like, who needs it? I'll just tough it out. But I ended up getting the flu really bad, worse than I ever had it. And it turned into thrush. I don't know if you know what that is. It's the inside of my mouth turned white, and my tongue, and there were sores, and it was painful, and I couldn't eat or drink anything. And I lost 17 pounds in a week because I couldn't eat. It was too painful. I couldn't drink. I couldn't eat Jell-O. I couldn't eat soup. I couldn't even eat yogurt. And so I ended up going to the emergency room after a couple of days of trying to tough it out. And I couldn't even tell them what was wrong with me. I had to type it out on my phone and hold it up to them. And they ended up giving me Dilaudid. I don't know if you know what that is, but I've been told it's 1 molecule away from being heroin. And yeah, so they gave it to me. They were withdrawing blood from me to see what was wrong. And usually I hate giving blood, and I hate IVs being hooked up to me. But this time I was like, here's a vein. Come on, stick it in there. Get it over with. Come on. And so the Dilaudid, I don't even know if I can talk about that on YouTube. It made the pain go away almost instantly. It felt like it just left my body from my head out my feet, and it felt like I was floating, and I was tingling, and I didn't have a care in the world. And I mean, I would never do heroin, but I get it. Anyway, so the Dilaudid lasted for a couple hours, and then they sent me home and said just take Tylenol. And it was really bad. I remember I had to wear a towel around my neck at night because I was drooling because it hurt too much to swallow it. It just drooled out of my ugh. So now I get 2 flu shots every year just to be safe. I'm joking, but yeah, get your flu shot. And the last one is an honorable mention. It's the 0.5 out of the 6. So I was living in Seattle, working for Amazon Flex, and it was a couple years ago during the snowpocalypse. We got a really bad snowstorm, and it was probably 5 in the morning. I was out in the middle of nowhere, and I was at the top of a hill, and it went down, I'd say maybe a quarter of a mile. And I'd driven in snow before. I was from Alaska. I mean, it was no big deal, or so I thought. And so I was going down the hill, you know, just normal speed. And halfway down, I started thinking to myself, I better start slowing down just in case. So I touched the brakes. Nothing happened. I jammed on the brakes because I panicked. Nothing happened. I grabbed the e-brake and I just kept sliding no matter what I did. And as I was getting closer and closer to the bottom, there's a hill, a cliff. And I was thinking to myself, okay, it's over. I'm dead. And it wasn't like a montage. It was like, no, I'm kidding. That was from Clueless. But yeah, things just flashed before me, and I said, no! And somehow I spun around and I ended up stopping. Somehow. It was really, really scary. So, yeah. Those are the 6.5 times I've cheated death in my life. If you could like, comment, subscribe, that would really help me out. Still trying to grow my channel. The struggle is real. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. I'll see you next time.